Hello, my name is Shay Hicks, and I am interviewing my tutor, who is Helen, and we are recording this interview in Chicago, Illinois. So first, I have to say thank you for willing to do the interview with me.
Of course.
First, basically, this interview is basically a little questions to get to know you, and it's for my final interview project. First, I'd like to start off with, how was your day?
My day was good. Spent most of it at work. Got there around 8 and left around 5:30 to come here.
If you don't mind, like, what do you do?
Sure. I work at an ad agency. I both write and I do content strategy, which means deciding what we're going to write and kind of where we're going to advertise and things like that. So I had a couple projects I was working on today for a couple different clients that all went well, but we're kind of scrambling right now to get things done by the end of the year. So we're in a crunch time for sure.
Upstairs.
Yeah, we're.
Can you tell me, can you tell me how your childhood was?
Sure. I grew up in Southwest Ohio, smallish town, about 20,000 people. Had mom, dad, and a little sister. Feel like I spent a lot of time playing sports, a lot like you do. I played soccer. I know you play basketball. Played sports, danced, rode horses a lot too. It's a very small town, rural Ohio thing to do. But I left when I was 18 to come to college here in Chicago.
What college did you go to?
I went to the University of Chicago on the south side.
Was it a good experience?
I think so. It was tough. It was a very demanding school. It's the first time I lived in a big city. You know, I wasn't used to this. All these buildings, all these people, and it was new. But I mean, I'm still here in Chicago. So.
How would you describe your school life, like grammar school?
Grammar, elementary school?
Yeah, elementary school.
I think to me it's probably normal. I think it's a lot different than what you guys have here. I know there are so many different schools and so many different places you can go, and there are magnet schools and charter schools. Back home there was one, so everyone went to the same school. So everyone knew each other. You knew everyone else who lived in the town. Your mom probably knew all your teachers by their first name. You know, it's just a very different kind of small town experience.
Was the school big?
It was a couple hundred students. Is that big?
What do you mean? What do you mean, by a couple?
Gosh, I don't remember. Maybe 300 in the grammar school.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
What did you want to be? Well, no, actually, how was your relationship? How would you describe your relationship with your mother?
So my mom, pretty good. We have a pretty good relationship. I'm actually closer with my dad than I am with my mom.
How would you describe you and your dad's relationship?
It was good. We've gotten a lot closer. He was a doctor, still is. So he worked crazy hours. I wouldn't see him for days at a time, even though we lived in the same house, because he was always, people get sick at all hours of the day and night. So I'd go a couple days without seeing him. But I think that meant the times we did see each other were that much better, and I would hear, even if it was super late at night, I would hear the garage door opening and closing and be like, oh, Dad's home, so, but yeah, and we still text a lot, even though we live in different states.
Wait, I don't know if you said that, but where did you grow up?
Southwest Ohio, a little south of Dayton, Ohio, if you know where that is.
Do you wish you can go back in time and fix anything?
Fix anything? I don't know if there's one like big thing I would fix. A bunch of like little stuff. I'm sure you've experienced being a high school student. And you'll say something dumb to a boy you like, or you'll do badly on a test, or there are like little stuff like that. But in terms of big stuff, no. I mean, I feel like we can never know, like, what would have happened if I had gone to a different school or moved someplace else after Ohio or stayed in Ohio. My life would be completely different, but I don't think you can say for sure whether it would be better or worse. So I wouldn't change anything, nothing big anyway.
What did you want to be when you was little? Like, people will ask you, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, what would you say?
I wanted to work in politics. Now, considering what's going on in the world, I'm kind of glad I didn't go that route. But yeah, I'm very interested in being in politics. I actually, when I was in high school, I worked on John Kerry's campaign in 2004. I was not old enough to vote in 2004, but I was just so excited about him and I liked the chance that I got to work on his campaign, and was pretty heartbroken when he lost.
Can you tell me someone you look up to, like a hero, like a superhero, anybody?
Gosh, someone I look up to. I think we talked about my dad a little bit, but I think he's the person that I look up to the most. I know you want to work in healthcare field. It takes amazing people to do that. Like, he worked crazy hours to get up and to go to work and just be willing to take care of people unconditionally. Yeah, and his determination to just take care of people, even when people were, mean to him, or they were having a bad day. You've been in the hospital recently. You're usually not your usual. Sure. And his willingness to just take care of people, even when they were sick and grumpy, or they were being mean to him, or they were on drugs or something. There was something that he just couldn't control, and he knew his job was just to take care of people, no matter what. And for those of us not in the healthcare field, I think that's a great way to live your life, is to realize that everyone needs help sometimes, and it's all of our jobs to just help out where we can, in whatever manner we can.
If you would take one day, if you had one day, would you spend a day in the hospital with your father? Yeah,
I've actually never gotten to see him work. They don't let visitors just kind of wander around hospitals for obvious reasons. But yeah, I would really like to see him in action, and that's something I've never gotten to do. I've heard stories, obviously, both from him and from people he works with, but yeah, I've never gotten to spend a day in the hospital with him, so that'd be pretty cool.
I don't really have any more questions, so I guess that wraps up. First, I want to say thank you.
Of course.
For allowing me to do this interview. Yeah, thank you.